If you're anything like me, I absolutely love it when somebody remembers my name. It's such a compliment. And so being able to memorize people's names and faces is one of the key leadership skills, as identified by Dale Carnegie in How to Win Friends and Influence People. And Tony Buzan Van der North taught me a lot about memorizing people's names and faces. And I've simplified it down to something I call FACES. It's a mnemonic standing for focus, association, chorus, emphasis, and smile. And since we very rarely learn anything in one go, I'll say that again. FACES. Focus, association, chorus, emphasis, and smile. And the FACES mnemonic is related to my whole memory principle of the vowels of memory, A, E, I, O, U, which is association and emphasis. You can see the overlap here. Or exaggeration and imagination, and putting things in order and emphasizing the unusual. All these things work brilliantly for getting something really imprinted on your memory. Association, emphasis, imagination, getting it in order and emphasizing the unusual. So let's have a look at focus. When you meet somebody for the first time, that's the moment of truth. You've got 4 minutes to make a lasting impression and probably 4 seconds to make a first impression. And that's the period of memory registration, where you need a strong imprint in the moment of truth, which is the moment of now. So if you're looking at your watch, if you're looking over their shoulder to the next person you want to meet, if you're thinking about the person you've just met, you are not in the moment of truth. So be present. And another way to focus on someone, frankly, is if you fancy them. It's so much easier. If they're gorgeous, and I don't necessarily mean just physically. Maybe you're a sapiophile, lovely word there. Somebody that loves intelligence. I've got a lot of friends that are not necessarily Vogue models. They're attractive, but they're not Vogue models. But they are so gorgeous that I fancy them when I talk to them and see that quality of brain and thinking. And the other thing is to use the Mr. Spock approach. His favourite F word was fascinating. Find something fascinating about them. I've got a friend in the village who's got a real love of Christmas puddings. I would never have guessed that in a million years. And now I know that fascinating fact about her. That really helps me remember her face and name. So that's focus. Be in the moment of registration. Fancy them, find something fascinating, lock it down. The A of FACES is association. We're dipping into the very operating system of the brain there. It's all about association, what we can link and connect. So maybe the sound of their name reminds you of something, or their looks remind you of someone. Maybe they look like a movie star, or they have a story that really sticks in your mind. So sounds, looks, and stories are rich in associations, which become a shameless product placement here. The Velcro, the hooks, the plant burrs, sticky bits that help us remember more about that initial registration of the person. Crucially then, we move into the C, chorus. It's very, very important for you to hear you saying their name in your own voice. There's something about the psychology of memory there. So repeat their voice and check the pronunciation. So the initial period of registration is really, really important. And if you register the wrong pronunciation, it will stick forever. So it's quite hard to undo. So make sure you've got the pronunciation correct. And this is really lovely with names like Anne. So if you're an Anne or a Jane, the way you spell Jane or Anne is really important to you. So if you're an Anne with an E, like Anne of Green Gables, you need to be appreciated for that fact and respected in that fact. And if you're a Jane spelt the traditional way, J-A-N, let's try that again, J-A-N-E, that's important. It's part of your identity. So chorus the person's name, repeat their name, and rehearse their name, ideally 4 times during the 4 minutes, so that you're used to addressing that face with that name. And then as soon as you have a bit of time to yourself, review. Repeat, rehearse, review. The E of F.A.C.E.S is emphasis. If you ever look in somebody's eyes, which is regarded as the window of the soul, you know you've made connection. And for many of us, that's not comfortable, but it's really important to get comfortable with that. If you can get to the point where you've seen the colour of their eyes and remembered that, you know that you've really made contact, soul to soul. And so you will privately emphasize something about them. At the moment, I'm obese, technically, and people recognize me as the funny, fat, bald man. Now, I'd rather be remembered for other things, like my friend Bridget, who in her earlier years used to introduce herself, I kid you not, as Bridget. Hello, I'm Bridget, as in Bardot, and she would then wiggle her boobs at the people she was introducing herself to. So you knew in the first few seconds whether you really wanted to be friends with Bridget or not. And of course, most of us did. Hello, Bridget, as in Bardot. And the get out of jail free card is the last letter, smile, S for smile, because you're going to get it wrong. So remember that people are awfully, wonderfully forgiving if you smile. And I taught this to a group of teachers at one of the teacher training colleges. And one of the headmasters there said, I have to confess, a wonderful experience I had. I had the most unassertive member of staff join me as the school secretary. And I called her Mrs. Wyatt for 6 months. And then she went to some staff training on assertiveness and came back from the training program with me as her project. And she came up to me and said, Headmaster. And he said, yes, Mrs. Wyatt. She said, for 6 months you've been calling me Mrs. Wyatt. But he said, yes, Mrs. Wyatt. She said, my name is Mrs. Earp. So he'd done the association, Wyatt Earp, but anchored it to the wrong part of the association. So with a humble smile, he escaped the wrath of Mrs. Earp. So be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, but do persevere with focusing in the moment, associating the sound of their name and the look of their face and the stories they tell you. Put the Velcro on it. Chorus their name, get the pronunciation correct. Emphasize something privately in your own mind about them so you remember them very powerfully, and always conclude your introduction with a smile.